Hello and welcome to our next evening of work on the gaming Spring 23 Gaming PCs project. Tonight is mostly going to be about getting the Fractal Torrent Nano ITX Mini PC up and running. We're going to get the whole thing built tonight, and if we're lucky, if we're luckier than we were last night with the thermal take, we will have a working PC and an installed OS. But let's not count chickens. Okay, first thing, I've already stripped out the major portions of the case. One thing I'm banking on tonight is this is going to be a lot simpler build. There's fewer fans, there's fewer components. I'm hoping it's all smaller. This is my first ITX build though, so I have no doubt some things will go wrong and I'll have to correct them. But we are installing one fan in the back, the Arctic white RGB fan. That's going to be our primary exhaust fan back here. Airflow pattern is going to be pretty goddamn simple. We are going this Chungus 180 mil is going to be blowing all this air throughout the case. We're going to have our NZXT cooler pulling air, and we're going to have the exhaust fan, the white exhaust RGB fan going out the back. Couple components came today. So we got our SSDs. These are Crucial PCI Gen 4s, 2 terabytes. And then I also picked up a RGB splitter, so that because we only have one RGB header on the motherboard, so we got to have a spot on the motherboard for the RGB strip, the exhaust fan as well. I'm sorry, I guess that's just 2. But yeah, we need a space for both of those, and they got to fit into one header. Oh, and the CPU fan, of course. Sorry, forgot about that. So yeah, we actually have a 3-in-1 that we'll need a splitter for. So that's happening. We are going to have our power supply going up here. I think our power supply it's pretty big, but I think we can still keep this cage. A lot of the reviews and YouTube videos I watched said that you have to be careful with that cage when you have a full-size power supply because there won't be much room for the cables. So we'll keep an eye on that, but I think with it moved over in this configuration, I think we can still use it. Luckily, we're not installing any drives other than the one that's going to be on the motherboard, so it's just going to be there as an optional add-on for the client, but I'd like to get it pre-wired for them. In the event that they want to add a drive later, I'd like to give them that option. On the back, cable management's ready to go. Nothing too crazy. I'm purposely not going to unbundle this mess until I'm ready, because this being my first ITX build, I have concerns about getting, like, for example, the EPS power cord in. We're probably going to have to do that before we bolt the motherboard in, which is an interesting deviation from the convention. So we'll see how that goes. We'll go into the furnace room where I've got the rest of the components. It's an old PC building rule that you don't deal with circuit boards on carpet. So just to be on the safe side, since this isn't going to be my PC, I've been doing all my motherboard work here, and this is like where I'll drop the case in. This is what I did last night as well. So we've already removed the SSD shield, so the SSD is going to go in there. Another thing that I'm a little concerned about here this is, like I said, this is my first ITX build. This is where the front panel connector goes. You'll notice it is right behind the graphics card. So, and this is also the front panel audio. So we're going to have wires snake their way underneath the graphics card to get to here. So that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. Other things on the motherboard. Front panel is full, standard USB 3.0, USB-C. 4 SATA ports. I'll probably wire up one, maybe 2 of those for the client if we can get that cage to fit. There's our 3 fan headers. I think I'm going to use them. I think I'm going to use the pump one for the front fan. That way we don't have to worry about a splitter. I'm going to give that a try and see how it goes. And then there's our 2 RGB headers, one 3-pin, one 4-pin. That's it. So yeah, you'll notice I took from the last video on the test boot, I've already taken the cooler back off. That was necessary. I'm not going to drop this thing into the case with the cooler still attached. I feel like that's going to make it impossible to work with my fat fingers. So yeah, I'm going to get started. Like I said, hopefully this goes a little more smoothly than it did tonight. Also, probably one thing I'll do tonight as well is put that SSD in last night's build, the thermal take, so that's ready to go too. All right, well, we'll catch you on the next update.